Welcome to Express News. My name is Siddharth Bharadwaj and we give you top 100 news of the day. So let's get started. India and Israel have signed a bilateral investment treaty in New Delhi on Monday. It aims to deepen economic relations and boost mutual investments between the two countries. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman signed the deal, while her Israeli counterpart Bezalel Smotrich led the economic delegation to seal cooperation agreements. President Draupadi Murmu addressed the Platinum Jubilee celebrations of Engineering Export Promotion Council in New Delhi on Monday. The President stressed that India's engineering exports have increased from $70 billion to more than $115 billion. The President urged EEPC members to continuously expand India's role and the role of Indian entrepreneurs in the global value chain. Union Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal also attended the Platinum Jubilee celebrations of EEPC. Addressing the event, the minister reiterated the call of Vocal for Local, urging citizens, businesses and industry to promote and use domestic products. Highlighting the recent challenges faced due to export controls and restrictions, the minister emphasized the need for self-reliance as crucial for national progress, economic security and inclusive growth. Students from Navy School in Delhi met Defence Minister Rajnath Singh at South Block in Delhi on Monday. The occasion marks the Diamond Jubilee celebration of the prestigious institution. 16 students from the Navy School engaged in a productive interaction with the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and shared their experiences of disciplined school life. Chief of Naval Staff Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi was also present at the event. During the meeting, each student was presented with a book by the Defence Minister, who emphasized the importance of focusing on character building. The 13th round of free trade agreement negotiations between India and the European Union is being held today in New Delhi. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar discussed India-US economic ties and potential with Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds in New Delhi on Monday. The Ministry of Labour and Employment has signed an MOU with Mentor Together and Quicker in New Delhi to enhance employment and skill development for the youth. The MOU was signed in the presence of Union Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia. Posting on X, Union Minister Mansukh Mandavia said that the decision will not only offer expert mentorship but will also bring more than 1,200 daily job listings directly to the NCS portal. Union Minister Jitendra Singh virtually addressed the inaugural session of the International Conference on Space 2025, themed Harnessing Space for Global Progress, Innovation, Policy and Growth on Monday. Speaking at the event, he said that India is entering a transformative phase in its space journey with ambitious goals ranging from Bharatiya Space Station by 2035 to landing an Indian astronaut on Moon by 2040. The Indian Railways started its first local relief train service between Katra and Sangaldan on Monday to help locals facing difficulties due to closure of Jammu-Srinagar National Highway following natural calamities. A mock flood rescue exercise was conducted in Vellore, Tamil Nadu by Fire Department, demonstrating the use of rescue equipment and techniques to simulate rescuing individuals in emergency. India's Supreme Court has directed the Election Commission to treat the Aadhaar card as a 12th document which can be produced as a proof of identity for the purpose of inclusion in revised voters list of Bihar. Indian equity indices ended on a strong note on Monday. At close, the Sensex advanced 77 points to settle at 80,787. Nifty at the National Stock Exchange added 32 points to close at 24,773. Indian rupee ends flat at 88.2 rupees against US dollar on Monday. Gold futures maturing on October 3rd were priced at 1,08,097 rupees per 10 grams on the multi-commodity exchange. Silver future for December 5 maturity stood at 1,25,652 rupees per kilograms on the MCX. Oil prices climbed more than $1 on Monday, regaining some of last week's losses. OPEC Plus flagged plans to further increase production from October, but the amount was modest. Brent crude climbed 1.9% to $66.74 a barrel, while US West Texas Intermediate crude rose 1.9% to $63.04 a barrel. Japanese currency yen fell as investors girded for uncertainty in the country following the resignation of Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba. Japan's Nikkei share gauge has recently slipped from last month's all-time peak. A London underground station was closed on Monday as a week of rolling strikes came into effect. The strikes, which began on Sunday, are set to bring the network to a standstill and cause massive disruption for travellers in the British capital. No tube trains are expected to run between Monday and Thursday. Transport for London said the union would only accept a deal which led to a reduction in the working week, with staff typically working 35 hours. US President Donald Trump on Sunday issued a last warning to Hamas to accept a deal to release hostages from Gaza or face consequences. The warning has come after Steve Witkoff, Trump's envoy to the Middle East, sent a new proposal last week to the Hamas for a hostage and ceasefire deal through an Israeli peace activist. Trump also said that the US is going to have a deal on Gaza very soon as he traveled back to Washington from New York, adding that he thought all the hostages would be returned dead or alive. Under the deal, Hamas would free all the remaining 48 hostages on the first day of truce in exchange for thousands of Palestinian prisoners jailed in Israel and negotiate to end to the conflict. Hamas said it was ready to immediately sit at the negotiating table and that it received some ideas from the United States side to reach a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Hamas also reiterated its readiness for negotiations to release all hostages in exchange for a clear announcement of an end to the conflict and the complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from the enclave. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Sunday said Kyiv expects a strong response from its international partners, particularly the United States, in the wake of the latest Russian strikes on government building in the capital. The strike damaged the Cabinet of Ministers building in central Kyiv, marking the first time the government building has been hit since the conflict began in February 2022. US envoy to Ukraine Keith Kellogg said Russian attacks looked like an escalation in the conflict and was not a signal that Russia wants to diplomatically end this conflict. US President Donald Trump said on Monday that he is ready to move to a second stage of sanctioning Russia over the conflict in Ukraine. Trump also told reporters that individual European leaders would visit the United States on Monday or Tuesday to discuss the Russian-Ukraine conflict, adding that he'll speak with the Russian president soon. Palestinian gunmen opened at a bus stop in Israeli-annexed East Jerusalem on Monday, killing 6 people and wounding several others. Israeli Emergency Service Megan David Adom said that 7 of the injured were in serious condition. Police said that 2 gunmen were also killed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited the site of shooting and held a situation assessment. The French National Assembly has opened for debate ahead of Prime Minister François Barrou's no-confidence vote on Monday. If defeated, it will force President Macron to look for another PM candidate. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said Sunday that he is confident that President Donald Trump's tariff plan will win at the Supreme Court, but warned his agency would be forced to issue massive refunds if High Court rules against it. 19 people have died and at least 347 have been injured after police fired bullets when the demonstration of Gen Z turned violent in Bhubaneswar of Kathmandu on Monday. The demonstrations turned violent after protesters stormed the federal parliament premises and clashed with police. Curfew has been imposed in Kathmandu's Bhubaneswar area. South Korea has secured the release of approximately 300 nationals who were detained during a massive US immigration raid at Hyundai Motor Battery plant in Elabel. The South Korean and Japanese defense ministers held talks in Seoul on Monday. This is the first official visit by a Japanese defense minister to South Korea in a decade. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto has appointed Purbaya Yudi Sadeva as the country's new finance minister, replacing Sri Mulyani Indrawati in a cabinet reshuffle on Monday. All right, let's take you live across to EAM remarks at the virtual BRICS summit.
Your Excellency, President Lula da Silva, Your Highness, Excellencies, Namaskar and good evening. It is my privilege to represent Prime Minister Narendra Modi at this virtual meeting of BRICS leaders. I convey his warm greetings to all of you. The state of the world today, Excellencies, is a cause for genuine concern. The last few years have witnessed the devastating impact of the COVID pandemic, major conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East, West Asia, volatility in trade and investment flows, extreme climate events, and a discernible slowing down of the SDG agenda. In the face of these challenges, the multilateral system appears to be failing the world. That so many serious stresses are being left unaddressed is understandably having consequences for the global order itself. It is this cumulative concern that BRICS is now discussing. Excellencies, the members of BRICS represent a broad diversity of societies who are nevertheless deeply affected by these developments. Even in the past, our endeavor has been to find common ground between our respective national policies and to act on that basis. Today, the focus is on stabilizing the international economy and the world order. But it is equally essential that we turn our attention to ongoing conflicts, not least because they have direct developmental and supply chain implications. Furthermore, as we head towards the next UN General Assembly session, an exchange of views on reforming multilateralism would be appropriate. The world, as a collective, is seeking a stable and predictable environment for trade and investment. At the same time, it is imperative that economic practices are fair, transparent, and to everyone's benefit. When there are multiple disruptions, our objective should be to proof it against such shocks. That means creating more resilient, reliable, redundant, and shorter supply chains. Not just that, it is also essential that we democratize manufacturing and production and encourage their growth in different geographies. Progress in that regard will contribute to regional self-sufficiency and relieve anxieties at times of uncertainties. Your Highness, Excellencies, trade patterns and market access are today prominent issues in the global economic discourse. The world requires constructive and cooperative approaches to promote trade that is sustainable. Increasing barriers and complicating transactions will not help. Neither would the linking of trade measures to non-trade matters. The BRICS itself can set an example by reviewing trade flows among its member states. Where India is concerned, some of our biggest deficits are with BRICS partners, and we've been pressing for expeditious solutions. We hope that this realization will be part of the takeaways from today's meeting. The international trading system is based on the foundational principles of open, fair, transparent, non-discriminatory, inclusive, equitable, and a rules-based approach with special and differential treatment for developing countries. India strongly believes that this should be protected and nurtured. Excellencies, the world today also seeks an urgent resolution of ongoing conflicts. The global south has experienced a deterioration in its food, energy, and fertilizer security. Where shipping is targeted, not just trade, but livelihoods also suffer. A selective protection cannot be a global answer. An early end to the hostilities and undertaking diplomacy to ensure a durable solution is the obvious pathway before us. The working of international organizations in the last few years has witnessed major shortfalls in many areas. On key issues, we have unfortunately seen that gridlocks have undermined the search for common ground. These experiences have only made the case for reformed multilateralism generally, and that of the United Nations and its Security Council specifically, more urgent. The BRICS have taken a positive view of this need for reform, and we expect that it would collectively become a strong voice for much awaited change. Excellencies, even as the world grapples with policy changes, we must not lose sight of bigger concerns, especially climate change. Sadly, both climate action and climate justice are currently slipping in global priorities. We need new thinking and initiatives as well. I commend the International Solar Alliance, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and the Global Biofuels Alliance for your consideration. In conclusion, let me again thank President Lula da Silva for convening us today and for the opportunity to present India's views and positions. I thank you.
All right, that was External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Let's resume the Express News. Severe storm Tapa came within 170 km of Hong Kong on Monday, bringing gale force winds and heavy rain. Schools were shut, businesses closed, and most public transport suspended. Tapa made landfall in China's Taishan and is expected to gradually move away. Typhoon 8 signal remains in effect as flights were cancelled and gusts reached up to 151 km per hour. Heavy monsoon rains and rising water levels of the Chenab River in Pakistan's Multan district left scores of villages stranded on Monday. The Indian Meteorological Department predicted light to heavy rainfall across various regions across the country in upcoming days. Light to moderate rain with isolated heavy spells likely to be seen over the hilly areas of Jammu, Himachal and Uttarakhand. The capital city of Delhi breathed a sigh of relief as the Yamuna River's water level dipped just below the danger mark, settling at 205.32 meters after days of concern. A deep depression hovering over North Gujarat and southwest Rajasthan is slowly drifting westward at 2 km per hour. The situation in Punjab is gradually easing following improved weather in the state and the hilly regions of Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. India's National Disaster Response Force is carrying out rescue operations in the flood-affected villages of Punjab. 48 people have lost their lives so far, more than 20 lakh people affected by the floods. All India Institute of Medical Science, in collaboration with NGO Voice of Amritsar, conducted medical camps on Monday in the flood-affected villages of Punjab. A unique sustainability initiative in Melbourne, in Australia, is turning animal waste and used coffee grounds into rich compost. Social enterprise Reground, founded by barista Nina Larson, collects 3 to 4 tons of coffee waste daily from 400 cafes of Melbourne and convert it into nutrient-rich compost. 2 Maori carvings are going back to New Zealand after 134 years. They were made in the 1870s and sent to the South Australian Museum in 1891. These carvings will travel by truck to Melbourne, then fly to New Zealand. Maori leaders say this is a big step in healing and reconnecting with their culture. Turkmenistan has officially launched its nationwide winter wheat sowing campaign. Exhibitions and cultural performances marked the start of season, celebrating both tradition and progress. The people of Sikkim prayed for peace, harmony and unity among various communities as part of the Pang Lopsol festival on Sunday. Pang Lopsol commemorates the historic signing of the Treaty of Brotherhood between Lepcha and Bhutia communities, which laid the foundation for lasting peace and mutual respect in Sikkim. Traditional Italian boats took part in Venice's annual historical regatta on Sunday. Gliding along the iconic Grand Canal, locals and tourists gathered to witness the vibrant spectacle. Venice's annual historical regatta celebrates the city's rich maritime heritage with colorful boats and rovers in period costumes. Cuban Catholics took part in a street procession along Havana Bay on Sunday to commemorate the Virgin of Regla, also known as Yamaya in Afro-Cuban Yoruba culture. The Virgin of Regla combines Catholic and Afro-Cuban traditions with prayers, offerings, sea rituals and mass honoring the Virgin Mary. Over 50 dogs and their pet parents took part in the 20th annual Surf Dog Surfathon on Sunday in California. Tourists and tribal dancers in Samburu County enjoyed Sunday's Rust Red Blood Moon as the East African country launched a tourism initiative promoting the country's night skies. Archaeologists have discovered a Roman burial chamber dating back to 3rd or 4th century CE in Albania. BMW unveiled its all-electric iX3, the first model in the new class series at the IAA Auto Show in Munich on Monday. American singer-songwriter and actress Ariana Grande won Video of the Year award for her song Brighter Days Ahead at the MTV Video Music Awards on Sunday. Lady Gaga also gave a special performance from Madison Square Garden in New York on Sunday for the MTV Video Music Awards. Academy Award winner Angelina Jolie shared her perspective about hope and making the most of life as she reflected about her family's cancer battles at the world premiere of Couture on Sunday. Chinese filmmaker Chloe Zhang walked the red carpet on Sunday at the Toronto International Film Festival, where it stars Jessie Buckley and Paul Mescal for their upcoming movie Hamlet. Academy Award winners Russell Crowe and Rami Malek captivated the Toronto audience in historical drama Nuremberg at its world premiere during the Film Fest on Sunday. Film director David Frine said his new romantic comedy Eternity is a celebration of love at the film's world premiere at the Toronto Film Festival on Sunday. American actors Chris Evans and Anya Taylor-Joy were at the Toronto International Film Festival on Saturday and walked the red carpet to promote their film Sacrifice. Actor-comedian Aziz Ansari said he was inspired by films from the 1930s and 40s for his directorial debut Good Fortune, which premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on Saturday. Hollywood star Channing Tatum transforms into a real-life convict in the new drama Roofman, which premiered worldwide at the Toronto International Film Festival. Fashion label Armani released black and white photographs on Sunday showing the late designer Giorgio Armani as a child. Armani died on 4th of September, Thursday, aged 91. Indian hockey team qualified for the Super 4's stage after they crushed Singapore 12-0 in the Women's Asia Cup in China on Monday. US Open champion Carlos Alcaraz said he aims to complete career Grand Slam by clinching the Australian Open next year. Alcaraz also returned to the top of the rankings for the first time since 2023 with the win over his rival Jannik Sinner at the US Open final. Two-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu will lead India's charge at the Hong Kong Open badminton tournament starting on Tuesday. India's Test team captain Shubman Gill turns 26 years old on Monday. Gill led India to 2-2 draw against England in a thrilling series. England secured the biggest win in one-day internationals history after thrashing South Africa by 342 runs in the third match in Southampton. England smashed 414 runs for the loss of 5 wickets, with Jacob Bethel scoring his maiden 100. India's Grandmaster R. Vaishali stayed in front after a draw with Dinara Wegner of Germany at the end of fourth round of the FIDE Women's Grand Swiss Tournament in Uzbekistan. The Indian men's football team is taking on Oman in Hisar on Monday for the third place at the CAF Nations Cup. Ghana and Mali are attached in their crucial 2026 World Cup qualifier match, with both teams eyeing a vital win to boost their tournament hopes. World Cup qualification remains Ghana's only route to major international competitions in 2026 after failing to qualify for the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations. Mikel Merino's hat-trick helped Spain to thrash host Turkey 6-0 in a World Cup qualifier. Four-time world champion Germany secured a 3-1 victory over Ireland in their 2026 World Cup qualifier. Manager Thomas Tuchel has warned his England side to be ready for everything in Tuesday's World Cup qualifier against group rival Serbia. The reigning world champion Max Verstappen has won the Italian Grand Prix in Monza, city of Italy. That's it in this edition of Express News. News and updates will continue on DD India. You stay tuned.